This is the story of the Demon Core, a weapon-grade plutonium sphere born from the fires of the Manhattan Project, meant for a third atomic attack on Japan that never came. Stripped of its purpose, it became an object of dangerous curiosity for the very scientists who created it. We will explore two fatal, chilling incidents that showed the devastating consequences of pushing boundaries with a material that could slip into supercriticality at the drop of a hat. Two brilliant men, Harry Daghlian and Louis Slotin, would pay the ultimate price, leading to a grim nickname that echoes the item's lethal potential. Like many tales of the atomic age, our story begins during the Second World War with the clandestine efforts of the Manhattan Project. The Demon Core, or Rufus as it was originally nicknamed, was intended to be the heart of a third atomic bomb, similar to the Fat Man weapon dropped on Nagasaki. However, following the Japanese surrender on August 15, 1945, this weapon was never needed. The core itself was a perfect sphere of plutonium gallium, refined at Hanford and shipped to the Los Alamos laboratory for preparation. Once assembled, it was designed to be approximately 5% below critical mass. This delicate state was safe, yet close enough to the edge that it could easily be used to make a very large explosion. But this razor-thin margin for error was its deadliest feature. Once the core went critical, it would be in a perfect state of equilibrium. However, a single external factor could send it hurtling into supercriticality, creating and sustaining a devastating chain reaction. The scientists at the Manhattan Project now found themselves with a surplus piece of weapons-grade material. Driven by curiosity and the mandate to understand their creation, they did what most scientists would do. They studied it and pushed the boundaries. Unfortunately, many of these experiments were outright reckless, leading to the core's first victim. Harry Daghlian, a 24-year-old physicist, was working on the core on August 21, 1945. Daghlian was making a neutron reflector around the core using tungsten carbide bricks. While undertaking the experiment, Daghlian realized that the addition of one final brick would render the core supercritical. As he withdrew the brick with his hand, he accidentally dropped it onto the pile. This was all that was needed. The core instantly went prompt critical. Daghlian tried desperately to remove the brick, then quickly disassembled the entire pile. But by this time, he had absorbed a massive, fatal dose of neutron radiation, an estimated 510 rem. His fate was sealed. He fell into a coma and passed away 25 days after the incident. His hands, visible in later photographs, showed severe burns from the event. Daghlian's tragic accident sparked an urgent review of safety regulations within the project. One of the major changes was that any similar experiment would now require 2 personnel and 2 instruments capable of monitoring. These new rules were thought to reduce the risk of a criticality accident. However, they would prove tragically insufficient when it came to the core, now beginning to earn its dark nickname. Just 9 months would pass until the core experienced its second and final criticality accident. During an experiment chillingly nicknamed Tickling the Dragon's Tail. Louis Slotin, a 35-year-old Canadian physicist, was experienced, but possibly complacent. He was preparing to demonstrate the experiment to his successor, 36-year-old Alvin Graves. The experiment involved bringing 2 beryllium hemispheres, which acted as a neutron reflector, close together around the core. Crucially, the experiment was designed to use metal shims to prevent the two halves from touching, but Slotin had developed his own, unique, and terrifyingly reckless modification. Instead of shims, he used a single flat-blade screwdriver to separate the two hemispheres, leaving the entire operation dependent on his unsteady hand. His colleague, Enrico Fermi, had reportedly told Slotin that he would be dead within a year if he continued this dangerous method. Around 3:20 p.m. on May 21, 1946, the inevitable happened. The flathead screwdriver slipped from Slotin's right hand, causing the top hemisphere to fully close over the core. The core immediately went supercritical, and the air around it instantly ionized, creating an eerie blue glow, a visible flash of intense radiation. Slotin immediately experienced a sour taste in his mouth, and his left hand started to burn. He quickly threw his arm back, knocking the top sphere onto the floor and ending the criticality incident after only a couple of seconds. His position directly over the core had inadvertently shielded the other 7 occupants in the room. Slotin, however, was not so lucky. He was immediately hospitalized, his body ravaged by internal burns that doctors described as a 3-dimensional sunburn. After suffering extreme mental confusion, he slipped into a coma. Louis Slotin died with his parents at his side 9 agonizing days after the exposure. The Demon Core sadly took the lives of 2 talented scientists, showing how deadly radiation can be, and how complacency, even from the most skilled operators, is a fatal flaw around such materials. Ironically, the 2 criticality incidents ensured the core itself was never used in a weapons detonation. It was eventually melted down for use in other cores. Following these tragedies, all subsequent experiments were conducted using remotely controlled machines, allowing operators to be located in a safe room, far from the lethal reach of the core. The dark legend of the Demon Core served as a brutal, unforgettable lesson in the necessity of safety and respect for the atom. Thank you for exploring this dark chapter of innovation with the failed futures. If you are interested in the hidden costs of progress, the forgotten experiments, and the grim side of popular science, subscribe now. We uncover the truth in the chapters of history where official records prefer silence. We'll see you in the past.